It's a misty, foggy morning at the Albert School. The world outside is a ghostly canvas of white, but inside, a massive fireplace roars to life. Orange flames lick at the stone walls, casting long, dancing shadows that twist and turn. At the back of the classroom, a young Einstein stands, arms crossed, his presence commanding silence. He's dressed impeccably in a burgundy velvet blazer and black trousers, his eyes fixed on one student. Xylon, his voice cuts through the quiet room. You're smarter than the average student, I'll grant you that, but you're a long way from being a master. Today, you will lead the class, solve this case, or leave my school. The scene shifts. In the center of the room, a porcelain clock lies shattered on a heavy oak table. Next to the fragments, a bottle of brilliant blue ink has been spilled, its contents spreading across the wood. Xylon, now the center of attention in his simple gray turtleneck, looks overwhelmed. His fellow students crowd around him, their voices a rising tide of speculation. A student in a mustard yellow shirt points dramatically towards the window. I think it was a break-in. Look at the window latch. Someone forced it open. Xylon shakes his head, his focus on the table. No, that doesn't make sense. Look at the ink. The ink is still wet. It's glistening. This happened just minutes ago. Another student, this one in a forest green hoodie, scoffs. You're wrong, Xylon. If it happened now, we would have heard the crash. The clock is porcelain. It would have been loud enough to wake the dead. The students begin to argue amongst themselves, their voices echoing in the grand room. Xylon's confidence wavers. Just then, 3 figures are brought into the classroom. The suspects. The first is the gardener, a man with a weathered face, wearing a brown apron and holding a pair of muddy shears. He looks nervous. I was trimming the roses in the fog, he explains, his voice rough. I couldn't see a thing out there. The mist was as thick as soup. Next is the maid, dressed in a traditional black and white uniform. She holds up her hands defensively. I was in the dining hall, polishing the silverware for tonight's dinner. My hands are still covered in silver polish. See? She gestures, and her fingertips do seem to have a faint, greasy sheen. Finally, the messenger steps forward. He's wearing a bright blue vest over a simple shirt. I just delivered a letter for Professor Einstein. I was standing right outside the classroom door the whole time. I didn't see or hear a thing until the professor called me in. The students erupt into a chaotic debate, pointing fingers and shouting theories. Xylon, sweating under the pressure, stares intently at the spilled ink, trying to find the one detail everyone else is missing. Einstein watches from the shadows, his expression unreadable. For a moment, everything freezes. Who is the liar? Suddenly, Einstein moves. He walks slowly from the back of the room, his footsteps silent, stepping from the shadows into the warm firelight. He approaches the table and, with a delicate touch, points a single finger toward the puddle of ink. Enough, he says calmly. The room falls silent. Xylon, you've missed the most basic law of nature. You've been looking, but you haven't been observing. He turns his gaze to the maid. You say you are polishing silver? But look at the blue ink on the floor. See its edge? It has a perfectly straight, sharp line where it stopped flowing. Einstein leans in closer, his voice dropping to a near whisper. The silver polish you claim to be using contains oil. It's a fundamental component to give the silver its protective shine. If you had actually been polishing silver, your hands would have left an invisible residue of oil on this table when you came to inspect the clock. Oil repels water-based ink. The ink would have beaded up, its edges curving away from the oily traces. But this ink is flat. Its edge is sharp. He stands up straight, his conclusion landing with undeniable force. There is no oil on this table, which means there was no polish on your hands. You haven't touched silver polish all day. You broke the clock deliberately, as a distraction to hide the real crime. You stole the key that was kept inside it. The maid's face goes pale. As the truth settles over the room, the fog outside the window begins to lift. A bright, sharp ray of sunlight cuts through the haze, illuminating the classroom in a brilliant white light. Einstein looks directly at Xylon. Observation isn't just seeing Xylon. It's understanding the world around you. It's knowing. Class dismissed. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn from the best, make sure to subscribe to Scalfax for more stories that will sharpen your mind. See you next time.